Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Juan Pablo from the 100% Finance Podcast. Welcome. We have another great episode for you, ladies and gentlemen, this day, right? Title for today's discussion is Overcoming the Odds. Yeah, the odds may be stacked against you, so to speak, but it's the right mindset you need to have. Let me share with you a personal story, right? And what I mean by this, overcoming the odds. When I was an employee, working my 9 to 5 for the government, right? I was fortunate enough to find a job that complemented my major and my minor. My major was economics and my minor was statistics. And I worked for the United States Census Bureau, in which we gather statistics on the economy. So I was one of the rare few, right, who actually did that. And while I'm gathering all this statistics, this data, we try to make sense of it to see how can we make moves or make a calculated effort to giving this information out to the masses, right? So on one survey that I managed, it was called SIP, Survey of Income and Program Participation. So we'll go to the people's doors, knock on their doors, ask them how much money you make, what all the income they receive, royalties, businesses, rental income, and so forth, mineral rights, and then intellectual property. And then we'll ask other people the programs they participate in, meaning governmental programs, whether it's a VA program, whether it's FHA, whether it's WIC, Section 8, any type of governmental public assisted program that people are involved in. So we want to see every single way a person makes a dollar. So while I'm employed in this position, I received a striking statistics that Hispanics, their average net worth is your assets minus your liabilities, your net worth on your balance sheet. If you haven't filled it out, make sure you go to 100percentfinance.com, get our balance sheet. It's provided in our personal financial statement, instant download. So we checked that out, and I realized the net worth of Hispanics was roughly $9,800, $9,800. But for African Americans, it was slightly lower. It was about $7,500. But it wasn't too much of a significant difference between the two groups. But when it came to white Americans, the average net worth of a white American was $75,000. About 10 times that of African Americans. And I thought that figure was striking. That's 10 times. The odds are against us, minorities, right? And as I'm looking into this matter further, why is this the case? Looking at the data, it hit me. Oh, minorities own what's called durable assets. You might have your own car, doesn't produce income. You might have your own house that you live in, that you work so hard to pay for. But guess what? It doesn't produce any income. But our other counterparts, white Americans, they had income producing assets in their portfolio. They own businesses. They also own real estate. They own mineral rights, intellectual property, stocks, bonds, and many other investment vehicles. That was the main difference maker. That statistic was shocking to me. So then I thought to myself, how can I beat the odds? Some of you might be thinking about that. You might not have no money right now, no credit. How can you beat the odds? So then I did some more research. Out of all those different assets, businesses, real estate, mineral rights, stocks, bonds, and intellectual property, royalties, and so forth, I looked and said, hey, which one has the highest probability of me becoming successful in it? Which one has the less barriers to entry that I can use leverage to get into? And I discovered real estate was the best vehicle that suited my needs because I didn't have the money, I didn't have the credit, but I had the burning desire. And I will be able to leverage myself into real estate. Because any asset classes, don't get me wrong, there might be exceptions. But can you actually go to a bank and say, hey, I want to buy $100,000 worth of stocks. Lend me $80,000. They won't borrow against the stocks. Again, there's some exceptions, but generally speaking, they won't. But they will do that for real estate. With that asset class, you can go to any lender. You get what I'm saying, guys. Pretty much any lender you can go to and get the funding. So then I realized, okay, white Americans owned a bunch of assets. So I'm going to choose one asset that increases my likelihood of increasing my net worth. without me having to bring a lot of money and credit to the table, and that was real estate. Because I also found another striking statistic. 7 out of 10 millionaires in the United States got their start in real estate investing, or they have some foothold in real estate. Many people talk about McDonald's. Well, McDonald's, they sell a product called burger. No, real estate. They own the prime real estate locations throughout the world. That's why McDonald's is so successful. Not because they can flip a burger and sell it. No, they can flip real estate and own it, buy and hold it. So as you can see how I was able to view the odds from the outside and see what's the best strategy that I can employ as well. And that's how I came up with that idea. Okay, I need to get assets. Number one, choose the best asset in which I can leverage the most. Real estate, 100% finance, as you can tell, the name of the company. Obtaining an income-producing asset with little to none of your own money required. And then realize, hey, real estate, I could become a millionaire in this. As long as I have a process in which I can wash, rinse, and repeat. Like I mentioned in the book, Quit Your Day Job, I have a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. How you can always get funding, how you can always get access to additional capital, so you can never run out of cash. That's one of the biggest pitfalls I see many business persons and real estate investors make. They just run out of cash. They're undercapitalized. They don't have additional capital for additional assets acquisition for one. They don't have more capital for emergencies. Don't you know a furnace may break down in the middle of the winter? And then guess what? They don't have any reserves or access to capital. So luckily, I have the system outlined for you in the book, Quit Your Day Job. So once I got that epiphany that real estate is going to be my investment vehicle of choice, I decided to take action. But you got to have a chip on your shoulder, guys. I had a chip on my shoulder. I had a supervisor that I didn't like. Some of you guys might be in the same position, but I used that to fuel me to stop treating real estate investing as a hobby, right? Some of you guys are treating it as a hobby. I'll watch a video now and then. I'll listen to a podcast now and then. I'll read a book now and then. I might network. Who knows? No. One thing I do know is that you won't make this a full-time profession because you're treating it as a hobby. But if you use your spare time wisely to make yourself wealthy, then yes, my friend, you can triumph and become successful in real estate investing. So getting into my first property, I realized, okay, this is my asset class of choice, real estate investing, but I have bad credit and I really have no money. So I moved forward with credit repair, fixed my credit to the point I qualified for an FHA mortgage. Why FHA? Because I can live in one unit. I ended up purchasing a duplex for my first property. So I can live in one unit and rent out the other. The beauty of this is this. It only required a 3.5% down payment. So like I said, the ability to use leverage. That's what makes real estate investing the ideal investment. Now I'll get into that shortly. But the leverage aspect enabled me to get into this asset that was worth $355,000. So the bank financed 97.5%, and I only had to come up with 3.5%, which is chump change compared to the property that I was purchasing and what the bank was financing. So I believe you can defeat the odds if you follow that approach. And just keep in mind, I'll end with this. Real estate investing is the ideal asset. It's an acronym. It produces income. It's that cash flow. After all the bills are paid, you have reserves set up just in case mistakes happen, with repairs and tenants might forget to pay the rent. It happens. But hey, you got the income. D, depreciation expense. I'm filing my taxes now as we speak, and I'm paying little to nothing in taxes because I appreciate the value of the property. E is equity. As long as your tenants pay you the rent, you'll pay down the principal. You have someone else paying down the principal for you, and increases in the equity. The A is appreciation. You can just be in a natural appreciated market, and you're leveraging that. Appreciation. L, like I mentioned, one of my favorites, leverage. And that's the name of the game with 100% finance. Use leverage to defeat the odds. I have a question for you guys. You ladies and gents out there listening and watching. What's the likelihood of you succeeding in real estate without money, without credit, without the know-how, without connections, without a blueprint to follow, without any inventory being in your market? What's the likelihood? Now, before you answer that question, I'd like to share with you a quote by Henry Ford. And he said this: "Whether you think you can or cannot, you're right." So based on that question, what's the likelihood of you succeeding with all these other things working against you? If you think you will succeed, then you will. If you think you won't succeed because of all these factors, all these outside circumstances, then you won't. It's predicated on how you think. It's your mindset. As a man thinketh in his heart, in his subconscious mind, his core, his belief system, so is he or she. So my question to you again is this: what's the likelihood? If you have a burning desire, the odds are non-existent. Sure, temporarily they may exist, but it's not permanent. Now let me share with you some more things that I like to convince myself that I will become successful. And this is the mindset I had early on, still have as of today, is this: there is a difference between a fact and a truth. The fact is the statistics, right? The stats, the odds are proven. Oh no, the odds are stacked up against you. You don't have a family member that will support you. You don't have a support group. Or you don't have a networking event near your area in which you can go and socialize with other successful entrepreneurs. Or you don't have the money. You're broke. You could barely afford oatmeal for your kid, let alone buying a multi-unit property. Oh, and your credit score is not even 3 digits. You got the double digits. You probably got a 99 FICO score. FICO score looking horrible, right? I get it. You might not have the education. You don't know where to get started. You have all these odds stacked up against you. Statistics. These things, my friend, are facts. The truth is, you're successful. You're blessed. You are prosperous. Everything your hand touches prospers. You have the golden touch. You're a winner. You achieve in every single thing you put your mind to. So let me share the difference between a fact and a truth. The fact just simply exposes the current reality, but it is subject to change. The truth is the permanent reality, and that is everlasting. So I'll ask you a couple questions. You tell me which one is fact and which one is truth. Caterpillar, fact. Butterfly, truth. Acorn, fact. Oak tree, truth. You being broke, fact. You having abundance, truth. You having poor credit, fact. You having pretty credit, a Holly Berry credit, stellar credit, truth. So what's the difference between the fact and the truth? It can all be summed up in one word: potential. That's all it is. Potential is untapped, unrealized potential. So these odds may be against you. Yes, we see it. It's the fact is there, but they will be subject to change as long as you realize potential. And I believe you can do it. But in order to realize your potential, you have to do something that most people won't tell you about. All successful people have to do this themselves. They might not have known this consciously or not able to articulate it, but this is what most successful people do. They ignore the facts and only dwell upon the truth. So even though the facts have statistics and the odds are against you, you have to ignore it. No, I'm not saying that, oh, I got bills that are due, so you know what, I'm going to ignore them bills. I'm going to focus on real estate. Don't get me wrong, I ain't saying that. All that I'm saying is you have to ignore the emotional aspect that relates to the facts. So yes, if you happen to have a mountain of bills on your table, of course you got to do something about these bills. They got to get paid, right? But don't become emotionalized. Don't be in fear. There are many faces of fear. Don't be anxious. Don't be frustrated. Don't be worried. Don't have disbelief. Oh, I knew this wouldn't work. I know I tried Juan Pablo's process or the 100% finance way. I got the book, it didn't work. No. Don't emotionalize it. Ignore your emotions. You have to use your emotions strategically. So it's a twofold process. You ignore the emotions that relate to the negative circumstances in life, the facts, the stats, the odds. But in the same token, you have to emotionalize the things that you want, the truth, your untapped, unrealized potential. Those are the things you want to emotionalize. So if you see this mountain of bills on your table, you'll get through it. That caterpillar will transform into a butterfly shortly, right? It's just time. That's the only thing that relates to potential. It's just a matter of time. But you got to emotionalize the things you want. So if you want abundance, if you want to have a multiple streams of income, if you want to have a huge multi-unit property, see yourself obtain those things. If you're watching me today, you'll see when I'm enacting this process, you see me close my eyes and just rewind it if you want to watch it later. But you'll see me close my eyes and I'll look up and I'll smile about it. Because these are the things I would do, or still do today, twice a day. Every day, I would spend some time, quiet time, only thinking about the things that I want. And it puts a smile on my face. I will incorporate emotions of joy, of gratitude, of peace, of love, of happiness, thanksgiving. All of those great emotions I will incorporate to the things that haven't been realized yet, the things I truly want, the truth, the unrealized potential. And I'll just feel so elated that I will imagine if it was already done, an already completed act. And if you continue to do that, despite the odds, despite the facts, those odds, those facts wouldn't even matter. They'll dissipate. Shortly, you will become who you are in here, as I stated. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Okay? So I want you to keep that in mind and listen to this podcast over and over and over. You can do it. Hey, ladies and gents, it's about that time in which we go over your questions. The mailbox portion of the podcast. So whether you have email that you reach out to me about or Twitter, I'm here to answer your questions. Because I'm online. You can find us on YouTube, on Instagram at 100% Finance, Facebook at 100% Finance. Go ahead and like our page. And you can find us on other platforms as well. All right, make sure you subscribe, most importantly, to our website, 100percentfinance.com, because we have a bunch of free tools. But outside of that, shout out to the team of 100% Finance. Got a shout out to Dwayne, Ghost Productions, Hollywood, Ryan, Chastity, Ollie, Janine, Jacinta, Lewis, Magic Mike, and many more. We're growing, guys, and we're growing thanks to you. So we greatly appreciate all your likes, your shares, and for just commenting on all the videos. So let's get into the email portion. All right, let me pull this up. Now, this email was sent from Mylan Butler. This was sent on July 4th. So this person is putting in work on a holiday, right? So let's look into it. Looking at my first property, and an agent my aunt recommended is not dependable. What should I look for in an agent so I can trust them for my first investment property? 4-suite, I'm not going to say the rest of the name. It's a 1 unit that's finished. My goal is to get a 203K loan to get it financed and finish. Okay, so the question is, what should I look for in an agent? She said 203K, so that implies she's getting an FHA loan and she wants to use it for a property that needs some work. Okay, so if it's an owner-occupant, I would prefer to work with agents who are in that world, people who find houses for owner-occupants. But me personally, I'm a real estate investor. I'm not looking for that type of real estate agent. In fact, I primarily look for listing agents that list a property. So it goes against conventional wisdom. Many people think, well, if you're a real estate investor, Juan Pablo, you buy properties, so shouldn't you work with a buyer's agent to represent you, the buyer? And I say no. I want to work with a listing agent who works with the seller so that that agent can be a dual agent in this transaction and represent both me and the seller. So that way, there's another layer, another barrier removed from the lines of communication. So that's what I prefer. All right, so now let's get into the Twitter of the day. Dwayne, what's up? What we got?
So Twitter question goes, if you had to sum up buying real estate, what would be the 5-step process to buying real estate with bad credit?
Woo! 5-step process to buying real estate will be REPAIR. Repair that thing. So, no, I'm joking. You got to get that thing fixed, man. Real talk. Don't try to neglect it, because I know oftentimes we gurus out there, we like to say, hey, you can do real estate without cash or credit. Let me show you how. You can wholesale. You can do lease options. You can do seller financing, subject to wraparound mortgage. That's the 5 creative strategies I just listed to answer that Twitter question. But even though you can buy real estate using creative financing, don't neglect the fact that you got to get your credit repaired. And it's not just for business reasons, but for personal reasons as well. Stop just sweeping that under the rug. Do something about it. Because what you want to become, my friend, is the all-star. An all-star is a person who's a real estate entrepreneur. They have the ball in their hands. They can dish it however they like. They can say, you know what? I'm going to get this property, and I'm going to keep it for myself, buy and hold strategy. Or I'm going to dish it to this other person and get a wholesale fee. You can wholesale the property. Or based upon the conditions, based upon the status of the property, whether the occupancy is low, if the seller is very motivated, I might entertain a lease option. And yes, you can even do this on multifamily. I did a massive lease option on a 13-unit apartment building. So you can do it. So that's pretty much the 5 steps. One, I'll answer the question, is take a look at your credit report, first and foremost. Get an account with privacyguard.com, and so that you can see what your credit report is looking like. And 2, apply through us so we can call you for your free consultation. 3, apply to a mortgage company to see what you qualify for. Now, again, they might say you don't qualify based upon your credit, but find the specifics. Okay. 4, increase your knowledge in your spare time, knowledge of real estate investing. And 5, take action and check in. Take action on all those principles I just stated, and continue to check to see how your credit is improving. All right, guys, so that wraps up today's episode. We greatly appreciate you viewing this and listening to this content. Always like, share, and subscribe. And as always, don't just be a viewer, be a doer. Anybody and a mama can create ideas, right? But the people who are successful are the ones that take an idea and implement it. You be that person who apply this knowledge, so it will be powerful for you. Okay? As always, this is to your success. Continue to earn passively, live passionately, and I wish you guys the best. Take care. Peace.